In the beginning, before the veil of time unfurled, and before humankind ever set foot upon the earth, celestial beings moved in perfect harmony through the realms of light and mystery. Among these divine entities, angels served as the eternal messengers and guardians of the Creator's will, each radiating with brilliance and purpose. Yet within the celestial host, there existed a spark, a glimmer of ambition that would ignite a rebellion of unimaginable scale. Tonight, we embark on an odyssey into the depths of an ancient tale, the harrowing saga of 4 fallen angels, whose defiance shook the very foundations of heaven and whose destinies were sealed along the banks of the legendary Euphrates River. Imagine a time when beauty and power converged in luminous splendor, when angels reigned supreme in a domain beyond mortal comprehension. In that resplendent era, a select few shone brighter than the rest, their brilliance a mirror to the divine. But even in the highest realms of purity, the seeds of discontent began to germinate. It was the allure of forbidden knowledge and the intoxicating scent of pride that led these celestial beings astray. As whispers of rebellion stirred among the seraphic ranks, an epic confrontation loomed, a clash between the forces of divine order and those tempted by the bitter allure of power. At the heart of this cosmic upheaval was a being once celebrated as the bearer of light. His radiance was so profound that it eclipsed the very stars. Yet within his luminous core, ambition festered until it ignited into a fervent desire to rival the Almighty. His fall, as narrated in both sacred scripture and ancient lore, was not merely a descent from grace. It was the birth of an adversary whose very name would come to symbolize the eternal struggle between light and darkness. Alongside him, 3 other formidable spirits wove their fates into this tapestry of celestial defiance. Together they would challenge the divine decree, their actions echoing through the corridors of time, leaving an indelible mark on the world below. As we stand on the precipice of this ancient narrative, the scene unfolds like a celestial epic, a symphony of light and shadow, of hope intertwined with despair. The eternal battle is not just a relic of myth, but a living testament to the choices that echo through the ages. In the swirling mists of legend, where the sacred meets the profane, these 4 figures emerge, not merely as villains or tragic figures, but as catalysts in the grand drama of existence. Their fates, entwined with the destiny of humankind, beckon us to question the nature of ambition, redemption, and the eternal struggle between good and evil. Tonight, you are invited to traverse these hallowed realms with us. Listen as the echoes of ancient texts and whispered legends reveal a story that transcends time. Witness a narrative crafted to stir the soul, challenge the mind, and inspire the heart. A story so profound that its impact lingers long after the final word has been spoken. In the days that followed the divine expulsion from the celestial heights, the fallen ones wandered in a realm of eternal twilight, a place where remnants of once glorious light struggled against a creeping darkness. As the echoes of heavenly glory faded, the 4 once revered beings found themselves chained not only by physical bonds, but also by the weight of their own hubris and defiance. Their story, shrouded in mystique and steeped in ancient prophecy, beckoned the hearts of mortals who sought to understand the enigmatic forces that shaped the destiny of humankind. Among these figures, Lucifer's transformation into the adversary of light became a symbol of lost hope and fractured splendor. Once celebrated as the radiant herald of the heavens, his fall was as cataclysmic as it was inevitable. The brilliant shimmer that once heralded the dawn was now consumed by shadows of ambition and regret. As Lucifer's luminous form dimmed, his eyes burned with a mix of fury and sorrow, a silent testament to the inner conflict that had driven him to rebel against the Creator's order. His legacy, as recorded in ancient scriptures and whispered in the corridors of time, became a warning to all who dared to reach too high, to dream beyond the ordained limits of existence. Parallel to Lucifer's tale of shattered light, Semyaza emerged as the reluctant architect of forbidden unions. His name, echoing the divine vision of beholding the infinite, belied the tragedy of his actions. In a time when the boundaries between the divine and the mortal were meant to remain inviolate, Semyaza and his fellow watchers dared to transgress, their hearts seduced by the beauty of the earthly daughters of men. Their forbidden liaisons not only shattered the purity of the celestial order, but also ushered in an era of chaos and disarray. The knowledge they imparted, secrets of the heavens, arts of magic, and the crafts of war, became double-edged, sowing both enlightenment and destruction in equal measure. Their deeds, immortalized in the ancient texts of the Book of Enoch, resonated through the ages as a somber reminder of the peril inherent in the misuse of divine wisdom. Amidst this upheaval, Azazel's story unfolded as a dramatic counterpoint. His valor, once a beacon of hope on the battlefield of cosmic order, was marred by his audacious teachings. It is said that Azazel revealed the art of forging weapons, a skill that, while instrumental in defending the realm, soon degenerated into an instrument of cruelty and strife. His influence spread like wildfire, igniting conflicts and instigating bloodshed among mortals. In the wake of his rebellious act, a legacy of violence and vanity was left in his stead, a legacy that would forever alter the fabric of human civilization. As the scars of his transgressions marred the earth, the people were forced to confront the consequences of unbridled ambition and the relentless pursuit of power. Then there was Beelzebub, whose very name conjured images of decay and pestilence. Once an angel of divine mystery, he became entwined with the forces of corruption. The reverence he once commanded turned to derision as he was portrayed as the master of decay, the one who unleashed plagues and filth upon the unsuspecting. In the bustling marketplaces and quiet hamlets alike, whispers spread of his dark influence, a specter haunting the fringes of society, forever reminding mortals of the fragility of their existence. His transformation, marked by the descent into the abyss of depravity, signified the ultimate renunciation of divine grace, leaving behind a legacy as repulsive as it was cautionary. Yet, despite their fall, the narrative of these four transcends the mere recounting of sins and punishment. It invites us to reflect on the duality inherent in every soul, the potential for both grandeur and despair. Their stories, etched into the annals of time, serve as allegories for the eternal struggle between light and darkness. They challenge us to consider the cost of ambition, the price of defiance, and the ultimate power of redemption. As you listen to this unfolding saga, consider your own journey, the moments when you too have been tempted by the allure of forbidden knowledge, the times when you have felt the pull of a destiny that seemed written in the stars. At this very moment, as you immerse yourself in the layers of myth and history, I invite you to share your thoughts and experiences. Have you ever felt that same internal battle, the tug of war between aspiration and caution. Let your voice be heard in the comments below, and if this story resonates with you, share it with friends who might also be drawn to its mystery. Your engagement not only enriches the conversation, but also builds a community of seekers united by a common desire to understand the forces that shape our existence. In the twilight realm, where these fallen angels now linger, bound by fate and eternal punishment, there remains a spark, a glimmer of the divine that refuses to be entirely extinguished. It is in this spark that the promise of redemption and renewal lies hidden. For every tale of downfall, there exists the possibility of transformation, the chance for the light to return even in the darkest of nights. And so, the story of these four figures is not merely one of despair, but also a call to remember that even in our most profound moments of failure, there lies the seed of a new beginning. In the wake of their fall, as the echoes of celestial splendor diminished into distant memory, the world below began to reveal the scars of rebellion in subtle and profound ways. The once pristine heavens, now shrouded in a melancholic twilight, gave way to a tumultuous realm where mortal hearts were forever altered by the remnants of divine conflict. In this liminal space between light and shadow, the four fallen angels carved out new existences, each leaving a mark on history that would resonate through generations. Lucifer, whose name had become synonymous with the ultimate betrayal, now roamed the earth with a dual nature. The once glorious harbinger of light had been transformed into a figure of torment and seduction, forever caught between his past grandeur and his present curse. His presence was felt in the stirring of restless souls, in the fleeting moments of ambition that led men and women astray. As night descended and the stars emerged as silent witnesses, Lucifer whispered in the hidden recesses of human desire. His voice, neither wholly evil nor entirely benign, sought to ignite a spark within the hearts of those who dared to dream beyond the confines of their mortal limits. And yet, for every soul he touched with his dark allure, there remained a lingering question. Was it the promise of forbidden power, or the tragedy of lost light that drew them in? Semyaza, burdened by the weight of his choices, wandered through the corridors of mortal memory like a reluctant mentor. The bonds he had forged with humanity in his misguided pursuit of intimacy had left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness. His legacy was etched into the annals of folklore and myth, a reminder of the perilous consequences when celestial wisdom is misused. In quiet moments, when the world lay hushed under the cover of dusk, Semyaza's gentle murmur could be heard in the rustle of leaves and the soft cadence of the wind, a mournful lullaby for souls caught between the desire for enlightenment and the abyss of transgression. His teachings, though tainted by rebellion, continued to inspire a restless curiosity about the hidden truths of the universe. It was as if the boundaries between the divine and the human had blurred, allowing fragments of eternal knowledge to seep into the fabric of everyday life. Azazel's journey, marked by an insatiable appetite for war and conflict, wove a tapestry of strife that stretched across the lands. His influence was unmistakable in the clash of swords and the thunder of battles, as nations rose and fell in the relentless pursuit of power. The weapons he had once taught mankind to forge became emblems of both defense and destruction. Yet beneath the clamor of war, there lay a tragic irony, a longing for honor and valor that had been perverted into instruments of suffering. Azazel's legacy was complex, a duality of creation and ruin. His memory haunted the bloodied fields and scarred monuments, a constant reminder that the tools of combat, when wielded without wisdom, could become harbingers of eternal strife. In the quiet after the storm of battle, the murmurs of the fallen spoke of a time when valor had been pure and untainted by the cruelty of ambition. Beelzebub, the dark emissary whose influence spread like a plague, became the shadow that lurked at the edges of every human endeavor. His spectral form, often unseen but keenly felt, manifested in the decay of ideals and the corruption of hope. In the squalor of forgotten alleyways and the despair of ruined citadels, his presence was a constant reminder of the fragility of mortal existence. Beelzebub's dominion was not marked by overt displays of power, but by the subtle erosion of the spirit, a slow, insidious decay that left once vibrant lives in ruin. His legacy, steeped in the imagery of rot and dissolution, was a somber commentary on the consequences of surrendering one's will to the lure of easy gratification. Amid the echoes of despair, there remained a faint call to action, a challenge to resist the allure of nihilism and to strive for renewal, even in the darkest of times. As these narratives interwove with the destiny of humankind, the ancient lands bore silent witness to their lingering influence. Every myth and every legend carried a fragment of their truth, a reminder that even the most divine of beings could falter under the weight of ambition. The interplay between fate and free will became a living testament to the eternal struggle that defined both celestial and mortal realms. Through the passage of centuries, these fallen angels had become more than mere figures of religious lore. They had evolved into symbols of the human condition itself, reflecting our capacity for both greatness and despair. In the quiet hours of reflection, as you listen to these timeless echoes, consider the moments when your own path has been shadowed by the temptations of ambition. Perhaps you have, at some point, encountered the delicate balance between the pursuit of excellence and the risk of overreaching, an experience that resonates with the fall of those once immortal beings. Your journey, with its peaks and valleys, mirrors the eternal dance between light and darkness that has captivated the hearts and minds of countless generations. If you find your spirit stirred by these reflections, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Describe a moment in your life when the pull of ambition led you to challenge your limits, or when you witnessed the bittersweet interplay of hope and despair. Your story, no matter how personal, is part of the grand mosaic of our shared human experience. And if you feel moved by this tale, please consider liking and sharing the video. Together, we can build a community that not only explores ancient legends, but also celebrates the resilience and transformative power of the human spirit. As the narrative unfolds further, the intertwined destinies of these four celestial beings continue to ripple through the epochs. The consequences of their rebellion are not confined to myth alone. They have shaped the evolution of humanity, influencing art, literature, and even the whispered dreams of those who dare to question the established order. In every epoch, as civilizations rise and fall, the echoes of that ancient defiance resurface, urging us to contemplate the fine line between enlightenment and oblivion. The story of these fallen angels is a timeless saga, a mirror reflecting the eternal human quest for meaning, power, and redemption. In the realm of endless twilight, where the boundaries between myth and reality blur into a single intricate tapestry of fate, The legacy of the fallen angels continued to ripple across the mortal plane. Their ancient defiance had long ceased to be merely an echo of the past, for every generation found itself under the subtle influence of their indomitable spirit and the sorrowful lessons of their tragic hubris. As the ages advanced, the narrative of Lucifer, Semyaza, Azazel, and Beelzebub was woven into the cultural, artistic, and spiritual fabric of human civilization. The stories of their celestial rebellion were not just cautionary tales confined to the pages of forgotten scriptures. They became living allegories that mirrored the very human struggle against overwhelming odds, the seductive call of power, and the eternal quest for redemption. In hushed gatherings around fires and in the resonant verses of epic poems, their stories were retold with passion, each rendition more elaborate and profound than the last, breathing new life into the ancient lore. Lucifer's transformation, once the radiant messenger of hope and light, now served as a stark reminder of the peril that accompanies unbridled ambition. In the throes of his fall, he had not only shattered the bonds of divine order, but had also sparked within mortal hearts a yearning for the unattainable. His journey from exaltation to exile was recounted as a somber ballad, a lyrical chronicle of glory lost and potential corrupted. Yet, it was precisely this tale of transformation that resonated with countless souls who dared to dream beyond the limits of their circumstance, even as it warned them of the heavy cost of overreaching. His legacy was as much about the seduction of power as it was about the inevitable sorrow that follows when one succumbs to it. Semyaza's path, marked by his forbidden union with the daughters of men, became emblematic of the quest for forbidden knowledge. His defiant act, an attempt to bridge the divine and the human, opened a Pandora's box of consequences that would forever alter the course of earthly existence. The clandestine knowledge he shared, the arcane secrets of the heavens, became both a boon and a bane. On one hand, it spurred a renaissance of thought and art, inspiring scholars and poets to explore realms previously shrouded in mystery. On the other, it unleashed forces that wrought chaos and destruction upon a fragile world unprepared for such profound revelations. In quiet moments of introspection, those who had delved into the mysteries of the cosmos often found themselves reflecting on Semyaza's tragic downfall, questioning whether the pursuit of knowledge was worth the inherent risk of losing one's way. Meanwhile, Azazel's imprint on the course of human conflict was indelible. His teachings on warfare and the forging of arms were revolutionary, laying the groundwork for the evolution of martial prowess. Yet, the wisdom he imparted was forever tainted by the destructive consequences it spawned. Every clashing of swords in a battlefield, every strategic maneuver in a war of ideals echoed with the memory of Azazel's once proud voice, a voice that had once heralded the virtues of valor, but had ultimately given rise to an era of unyielding strife. In the aftermath of countless conflicts, the specter of his influence loomed large, prompting generations to grapple with the moral dilemmas posed by the duality of human ingenuity, the capacity to create as well as to destroy. And then there was Beelzebub, whose dark legacy permeated the very air of the cities and the hearts of the people. His presence, though often subtle, was a constant undercurrent in the narrative of decay and renewal. In the ruins of fallen empires and the quiet despair of the downtrodden, Beelzebub's influence was unmistakable. He embodied the inevitability of decay, a reminder that even the grandest of creations would eventually crumble under the inexorable passage of time. Yet, in this decay lay the seeds of rebirth. For every end, there was a promise of a new beginning. In the delicate balance between creation and destruction, Beelzebub's legacy served as both a curse and a catalyst, urging humanity to learn from its missteps and to rise time and again from the ashes of its former glory. Throughout these turbulent epochs, the influence of these four celestial beings was not confined to isolated mythologies or religious dogmas. Their tales became interwoven with the broader human experience, a mirror reflecting the intricate dance of hope and despair that defined the human condition. Art, literature, and music across continents echoed with the strains of their epic saga. In the delicate brushstrokes of Renaissance painters and the haunting melodies of classical compositions, there lay an unspoken homage to the fallen angels, a tribute to the complex interplay of light and shadow, creation and ruin. Amid this evolving narrative, the collective human consciousness began to embrace a deeper understanding of duality. The story of the fallen angels was no longer seen solely as a narrative of divine retribution, but as an intricate parable of transformation, a story that spoke to the eternal struggle within each soul. It was a reminder that within the heart of darkness, there lay the potential for profound illumination, and that even in the throes of despair, the spark of hope could kindle a path to redemption. At this juncture in our journey, as you immerse yourself in these profound reflections and ancient truths, I invite you once again to engage with this narrative on a personal level. Reflect on the moments in your life where you have experienced the delicate tension between ambition and restraint, between the allure of power and the wisdom of humility. Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. Each experience is a thread in the grand tapestry of our shared human saga. And if this exploration resonates with you, consider sharing this video, liking it, and subscribing to join a community that cherishes the quest for truth and the enduring power of myth. With each new revelation, the saga of the fallen angels unfolds further, inviting us to probe the depths of our own existence and to seek the light that persists even in the heart of darkness. As the narrative continues to evolve, it challenges us to not only remember the lessons of the past, but to harness them as beacons of hope for the future, a future where the interplay of light and shadow guides us toward greater understanding, compassion, and ultimately, redemption. In the waning light of an age steeped in both wonder and sorrow, the saga of the four fallen angels reached its most fateful crescendo. The divine narrative, woven into the fabric of time, had brought these celestial figures to a singular moment of reckoning, a moment when the threads of destiny and consequence intertwined along the ancient banks of the Euphrates River. Here, in the whispering currents of history, the eternal chain of retribution and redemption was forged, binding these once magnificent beings to a fate that would echo through the corridors of eternity. As the legends recount, after the celestial rebellion had wrought havoc on both the heavenly and mortal realms, the very forces of creation and divine justice converged upon the scattered remnants of the fallen. The river, a timeless witness to the rise and fall of empires, became the sacred stage upon which their ultimate punishment was enacted. With celestial decree as unyielding as the march of time itself, the chains of destiny were wrought, not by mortal hands, but by the inexorable will of the divine. These chains, imbued with the power to restrain even the mightiest of angels, were cast along the banks of the Euphrates, their links shimmering with a light that belied the darkness they were meant to contain. Lucifer, the once bright harbinger, whose defiance had sparked a war that shook the heavens, now faced the profound isolation of his exile. His fall was not merely a descent from celestial heights, but a transformation into a being caught between realms. In the silent agony of his confinement, he was left to contemplate the chasm between ambition and humility. The celestial light that once animated his every fiber now flickered dimly behind iron bonds, a perpetual reminder of the price of pride. His eyes, still burning with the embers of rebellion, gazed upon the river as if seeking absolution in its ever-flowing currents, a silent query for a lost redemption that might never come. Semyaza, whose tragic union with humanity had forever altered the course of mortal existence, wandered in a state of eternal limbo along the river's edge. His heart, heavy with the burden of forbidden knowledge and regret, echoed the mournful cadence of 1,000 lost hopes. The ancient texts speak of a time when he had dared to bridge the gap between the divine and the human, only to see that very act unravel the delicate tapestry of life. Now, confined by the unyielding chains, Semyaza's story had become a solemn elegy, a testimony to the dangers of overreaching and the profound consequences of transgressing sacred boundaries. As the water lapped gently against the shore, it carried away with it whispers of his once lofty ideals, mingling them with the soft rustle of distant forlorn prayers. Azazel, whose mastery of warfare and cunning had left an indelible mark upon the mortal realm, now bore the scars of a legacy marred by violence. The instruments of war he had once taught humankind to wield, swords, shields, and spears, had transformed into symbols of unending strife and suffering. In his eyes, one could perceive the bitter irony of a life dedicated to the art of battle, now reduced to an endless cycle of conflict and remorse. Chained by the immutable forces of divine retribution, Azazel roamed the desolate banks of the Euphrates, haunted by the echoes of countless clashes and the wails of those caught in the storm of his making. His every step seemed to stir memories of battles fought and lost, as if the very ground beneath him mourned the price of power unleashed. And then there was Beelzebub, whose name had come to embody decay and corruption. His presence along the river was like a shadow that stretched over the land, a silent specter of the inevitable decline that follows hubris. The very air around him grew thick with an aura of desolation, as if the chains that bound him exhaled a toxic miasma of regret and ruin. His once mighty form, now diminished and twisted by the relentless grip of divine justice, roamed the twilight fringes of the riverbank. In every crumbling ruin and every forsaken village nearby, there lingered a subtle reminder of his legacy. Beelzebub's path was a stark portrayal of entropy, a slow, inexorable march toward decay, tempered only by the faintest glimmers of hope that whispered of eventual rebirth. Yet, amid this seemingly irrevocable despair, a profound truth emerged from the depths of the ancient river and the recesses of the human soul: the notion of redemption. The same forces that had condemned these celestial beings also harbored within them the seeds of potential restoration. The chains that bound Lucifer, Semyaza, Azazel, and Beelzebub were not merely instruments of punishment, but also symbols of an opportunity, a chance for renewal that transcended the eternal cycle of sin and retribution. It is said that even in the darkest corners of the universe, where the light seems all but extinguished, a spark of hope can ignite a transformation so profound that it redefines destiny itself. As you listen to this timeless tale, reflect upon your own journey. Consider the moments when you, too, have found yourself ensnared by the chains of circumstance or bound by the weight of past mistakes. Perhaps you have experienced the sting of regret, the bitter taste of ambition left unchecked, or the sorrow of dreams deferred. In these moments, the ancient narrative of the fallen angels speaks not only of cosmic rebellion, but also of the human condition. A reminder that from the depths of despair, the possibility of renewal may arise. Your story, interwoven with the echoes of these celestial legacies, contributes to the grand tapestry of redemption that spans across the ages. I invite you to share your thoughts and personal experiences in the comments below. How have you overcome the chains that once seemed unbreakable? What lessons have you learned from the trials of ambition and the shadows of regret? Your voice is an essential part of this timeless conversation, a beacon of hope that can guide others on their path to renewal. If this epic journey resonates with you, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to join a community that believes in the power of transformation and the endless quest for meaning. In the soft murmur of the Euphrates and the eternal whisper of the wind, the story of these fallen angels continues to remind us that even the most profound transgressions may, in time, give way to the gentle promise of redemption. As the river flows onward, carrying with it the secrets of ancient worlds and the dreams of countless souls, we are left to ponder the delicate balance between judgment and mercy, a balance that in the end holds the key to both the downfall and the ultimate restoration of even the most forsaken among us.